What are some of the ways that you can sweeten a vegan recipe if you can't use honey or sugar? Well, my friend, I have two great pieces of news for you. Number one, despite any rumors that you may have heard, sugar is actually vegan. Sure, back in the day they used to use a process to clarify the sugar. They used bone char, which is made out of animal parts and offal and all of that. But realistically today, most of the sugar that you find in store shelves in the US and Canada is actually vegan. So you're good. Put down the coconut sugar. Treat yourself. You are welcome. Hello again, it's me from the future. I'm editing this video and I just realized I forgot one really, it's small but very important word in that sentence, and that is most organic sugars you'll find in stores do not use bone char fillers. So here's the thing, if they're organic, there's no bone char, and then some brands also just do all sugars, organic or not, without bone char, period. So those are the ones that I featured on here. But either way, I wanted to clarify that, and I'll also put a link below in the description from PETA that lists all of the brands that do not use bone char so that you know what sugars to get. But the point still stands, you can get sugar. All right, moving on. Second piece of great news is that replacing honey in vegan baking recipes is actually super easy, and in this video I'm going to be showing you some of the options that you have when it comes to sweetening vegan baking recipes and how to replace honey in your recipes. Are you ready? Let's do this. Now, that's not to say that anything that I'm about to say is applicable to sugar-free baking. That's a completely other ordeal. I'm talking about replacing sugar and honey solely for veganism reasons. Medical or diet choices are a completely different subject matter, so, don't come for me. So the one thing that I will say right from the top is that I don't really think you should be replacing sugar in a recipe unless it's absolutely necessary. The sugar is not only there to add sweetness to a recipe, but it also adds structure and it helps moisten whatever you're making. So if you're trying to replace the sugar just to make it, less calories, don't. Maybe. Just don't. It's not a great idea. Now, if your recipe already has honey in it and you're trying to replace it because now you're vegan, that I can help you with. So here are some of the replacements that you can use for honey in your vegan baking recipes. Number one is maple syrup. It comes from a tree, it's completely natural, it is definitely vegan. The good thing is that it has kind of that same texture as honey. Now, the bad part is that it has a very characteristic flavor. When you taste maple syrup, you know what you're getting there. It's maple syrup, it's delicious, but it has its own unique flavor. You can never mistake it for honey, so it's not necessarily the best choice because you're gonna be left with that lingering maple syrup flavor. A second option that you have for replacing honey in vegan recipes is molasses. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I actually had to Google where molasses came from because I had no idea. So, according to Google, molasses is a viscous substance resulting from refining sugarcane or sugar beets into sugar. There you go. So yeah, also vegan. You usually see molasses as part of a lot of recipes for gingerbread or gingerbread cookies around Christmas time because it really has that deep flavor that complements the ginger super well. And that's one of the things about molasses to keep in mind is that it has a very characteristic flavor. It has a very deep flavor, and the color is obviously very different from honey. It's dark, it's a lot thicker, so the texture is not quite the same. Plus, it's really sweet. Like with honey, you could eat that with a spoon. You can't do that with molasses. This stuff needs to be used sparingly and with caution. It's good in a very controlled way, but you can't just go crazy with the molasses. No. So, not the best choice, but also an option. Corn syrup is another completely vegan sweetener, but personally I would not recommend using that as a honey replacement. While the color is more akin to honey than molasses, it has that kind of light yellowish color, it's very sweet, and it's better used for something like making a mirror glaze than actually replacing the sweetness in a recipe. Okay, so I told you everything that doesn't quite work really well, so now I will tell you my personal favorite replacement for honey in vegan baking recipes, and that is agave. Agave is basically just like honey except that it comes from a plant. It has basically the same texture, basically the same color, and about the same taste. While the taste of honey varies based on location and what you add to it, if you have something like an orange blossom honey, you can easily replicate that with agave by just adding some orange zest to it. It's pretty flexible. So I would say agave is hands down the best way to replace honey in a recipe. 1 for 1, super easy, and agave is pretty easy to find these days. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It will show YouTube that there's some useful information in here, and it will show it to more bakers in the algorithm. Now, if you're interested in vegan baking, I think you should check out this video up next. I go into more detail about how sugar and other ingredients can really help you get a really moist cake. I will see you guys here next week with a new video. Until then, stay curious.